Hello, and welcome to today's Shorts Roundtable. I'm Paul Sloop, the Short Films Programming Manager for the Cleveland International Film Festival, or better known around the festival as the Shorts Guy. We want to take a moment here to offer special thanks to PNC for sponsoring our Filmmaker Conversations content throughout the festival. On today's roundtable, we'll be joined by filmmakers from some of the short films included in Shorts Program 2. With that in mind, allow me to welcome our guests to today's conversation. First of all, thank you all so much for joining us today. And I'd like to take a moment to ask each of you to introduce yourselves, your films, your role on the film, and where you're calling in from today. And let's start with Ben and go around the circle.
Okay, hello. My name is Ben S. Hyland, and I am the writer-director of short comedy Talk Radio, and I'm calling in from London.
Hello, I'm Helen Alexis Yonov, and I'm the writer, director, and one of the producers of The Gesture and the Word, and I'm currently staying in San Antonio, Texas.
And my name is JJ McDowell, writer, director on the film Grow Old With Me, and I'm calling in from Chicago.
My name's TC Johnstone. I'm calling from Boulder, Colorado. I'm the director, producer of the movie Red Horizon.
Hi, my name is Farbod Ardebili. I am the director, writer, songwriter of the movie Forbidden to See on the Screen in Tehran. I'm joining you from LA.
And hi, everyone. I'm Tania Taiwo, writer, director of Pharmacopeia.
Great. Again, thank you all for joining us and being here with us. So I'd like to start off with the first round of questions to ask each of you to let us know either what inspired you to make this particular film or what led you to become involved in the making of the film. Start again with you, Ben.
Okay, fantastic. So my film Talk Radio is about communication or miscommunication, I suppose, when a wife listens to a relationship hour on Talk Radio and hears a familiar voice of her husband who's calling in anonymously to put the world to rights on how bad the marriage is. And so he doesn't know that she's listening, vice versa. And I suppose the inspiration for that, I'm not sure, what it's like in the States, but certainly late night radio in the UK, man, you get some bonkers people calling up. That's when the weirdos come out to play and have the strangest stories and just kind of talk nonsense. And it's just, I suppose, driving around late at night and just, having radio on and listening to that just to keep me awake at the wheel was enough just to, make me chuckle. And I suppose the inspiration or the genesis came from listening to the types of conversations that kind of came in at 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, with people calling in with all sorts of weird and wacky things. So that's where the idea initially came from.
Well, with The Gesture and the Word, it was originated in Paris, France, because I was living there for 7.5 years. And the film is about a postman that reads letters, postcards that are sent from a man traveling the world back to his girlfriend. And he lives vicariously through their relationship, and it kind of seeps into the rest of his life. And I would sit in cafes and drink my coffee and watch people walk around. And I'm like, what would happen if this postman did this? Or what would happen if this flower girl did that? And just little aspects of my life, from being at art school at the Rhode Island School of Design for a summer. We used to send each other postcards of our homemade artwork, and all these little aspects of my life kind of became this 23-minute short. And it really was something that kind of came to me, and it wasn't something that, it just kind of happened, so to speak, without any real, sitting there and, oh, I need this, I need that. It just kind of hit me really hard, and there it is.
Nice. So my film Grow With Me, it started out actually as I was writing a full-length feature with the producer about an autonomous car heist movie. And my film has nothing to do with that. The script fell apart on every level. But while I was writing, I needed a heart of the story. So I came up with the idea of a young couple, and one of them gets diagnosed with terminal disease. So they counter by pretending that they're having their 40th anniversary together. And then he ended up getting kidnapped, which terrible. But I just took all that out and made a short film of the heart, and that's all there is. There's no autonomous cars, no heist, nothing. So that's it.
That's great.
Yeah, our film Red Horizon is a story of a group of 20-year-olds who want to carry on the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, which were the first black pilots in World War II, and kind of set the stage for the civil rights movement. And I actually met a guy on a ski chairlift, and he told me about this story that he was involved in, and I didn't quite get it. And so one thing led to another, and I flew to Alabama and met this group of kids that are flying airplanes, running an airport, but what they were doing was bigger than flying, and it got my attention.
So our film was inspired by my and my friends' experience in Iran as a metal band. We had a metal band in Iran, one of the first ones to have a female vocalist. And since in Iran it's illegal to play metal music, have a metal band, and it's illegal for women to sing in any genre, my movie was inspired by what we had to go through and the risks and the challenge, the challenges we had to face.
So, Pharmacopeia, my movie, is about a Black pharmacist who, suburban, middle class, good girl type, who rebels against the system and becomes a drug dealer to pay off student loans. And it was inspired by just being in LA at the time and being a pharmacist as well. And just marijuana was being legalized at the time, and there was so much questions around it. And I was getting so much just inquiries from friends, family, and so I began to do my own research because I'm a very ingredient-minded person. And while doing research, you just realize the story is so much bigger. And so it deals with mass incarceration, it deals with prison reform and big pharma and so many other things. So
yeah, you really did touch on a lot of topics in a short period of time there. Such a clever film, and your descriptions as a group of your films really demonstrates how we program the festival. We put a little bit of everything. We try to make it a very widely varied program, every one. And the number of different stories we just touched on in that circle just demonstrate like this is a perfect dichotomy of exactly what we do. I'm wondering if each of you could take a brief moment to consider this. If there was just one thing you'd want our audience to know about the making of your film, or perhaps one story about something that happened during the making of the film that you'd like to share, please take the time to do that now. And again, we'll start with you, Ben.
Okay, I'll try and keep it brief. I mean, one thing springs to mind because it was a relatively uneventful shoot. I wrote the script for Julia Deakin. So I did the thing that everyone tells you not to do, right? Write for a specific actor that you want because you're not going to get them. And so I wrote for her, and I've been a fan of her since Space and all the Edgar Wright stuff, and I loved her. And so the producer calls me and says, look, I've spoken to Julia's agent and we're all good, but she wants to speak to you at 4 o'clock today. And I was like, oh man, this is a big, don't mess it up. Just come on, don't mess this up. You've got one chance to work with the person you really want on this. And so I jumped on IMDb. I started making notes on all her filmography, on things I loved her in, on reasons why she should be great for this character. And I just got super hyper focused and thought, just don't blow this opportunity. And she calls me up at 4 and I was just so nervous. And she went, oh, is that Ben? I was like, yeah. Hi, Julia. Big fan. Thank you for calling me. And she said, are we going to be done by 4? Because I've got dinner plans that day. And that was it. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I've got pages of notes if you want to hear them. But yeah, we'll be done by 4. And yeah, I'd love to have you on the roll. And that was kind of it. And from then on, it was just my nerves just dissipated immediately because she's just a human being that liked the script and she was just a joy to work with. But yeah, that was my sort of 12 hours of complete panic, which was absolutely unjustified. That's the main thing I can think of anyway.
It's a good story.
Mine was my story that I'm thinking of is I worked with a wonderful actor by the name of Andrew Creer, and he played Eric in our film, who's traveling around the world. And we did one location in the Hollywood Hills to be 9 different countries. We went from Spain to Russia to Morocco to India, China, Malaysia, all these places. And people would come back and be like, where did you shoot all those places? And I was like, the backyard of a lady's house. And it just was this sort of thing where they're like, it looks like all these places. And we did it in about 7 hours. And it was something that people thought it took us days to do. And it was something that was quite like, at the end of it, we all were like, okay, we pulled that off. But it was so wonderful seeing everything come to life and seeing a place that was just Hollywood turn into all these wonderful places.
So I would say ours is the last scene of the movie, spoiler alert here, is the couple jump in a lake. And the actor that I really wanted in Chicago here, his name is Michael Patrick Thornton. He's paralyzed from the waist down. So when he read the script, we got together. He's like, I'm in. I go, okay, that's amazing. I'm so happy. But we could, we could rewrite the last scene here. And he looks me dead in the eyes. He goes, not a chance. I was like, okay, let's do it. We ended up shooting that the last day. That was the absolute last scene we shot. And we had stunt coordinator, the whole 9. AD was amazing for this stunt. And he got out of his wheelchair on the edge of the pier, fell backwards. It was freezing cold, and popped out. And like, I jumped in too, because if I'm asking him to do it, I'm going in before him. And it was freezing. But we popped out of there, me, him, and Brittany Burt's other co-star, and we were an absolute team after that. I wish we shot that scene first, but that's my story.
That's good.
Wow. Yeah, I'd say for us, don't start a movie right before COVID and then need to finish it before now. So that was super challenging. We had started in February, and so right in the middle of the whole thing, we ended up moving from airplanes to trailers and trucks and all this different stuff. But that worked itself out. I think the one thing that I wasn't prepared for is that when you're doing acrobatic aviation, I didn't think about that I would actually have to go do it. And so that was just a little unnerving to have to, once you experience it, it kind of puts, as you were saying, it puts a bond between you and your cast pretty quick. Once you've had a shared experience, it's great because you kind of like, we're in this together and we're going to make this movie. So it's good.
I think it's interesting to know about our film that I'm not allowed to go back to Iran because of the artwork I've made here and I've made back there. So I had to direct the team remotely from USA. I directed the team through WhatsApp, and it took a lot of preparation, a lot of training, but I have to give kudos to my teammates. They were really brave to take on the project and go to the street. But I was in the safety of my home, just giving them direction. They were in the street, putting themselves at risk just to shoot the film. And sometimes I was conflicted. Should I ask them to go one more time? Because one more take means one more 20 minutes, 30 minutes more being in danger. But they were my heroes. They were oh yeah, let's do it one more time. Sometimes I wouldn't say let's go one more time, but they would say we didn't like it, let's do it one more time. So I think that's an interesting part to know.
I should say for about our entire team, the first time we got together to discuss films, your films was one everyone's talking about, because they were like, did you read the making of the film? The story of the making of the film is as interesting as the film. It's unbelievable what they went through to make this film, and it just stuck with everybody throughout the entire process. So.
Right, yes, it was crazy. Thank you.
Tania.
So I think for us, it was definitely making a film is a very blissful experience. It was my first, so I was just like, I'm gonna make a film. And so you get into it and you're like, oh no. So permits were a big thing because we shot everything guerrilla style. Just didn't have time or money for permits. And so we did get shut down a couple of times, but that just added to the energy, the intensity of the film. I think there was a level of authenticity there as well that worked off that. And besides that, I would say music. Music is OMG. I had no idea how wild it is to get music on anything. And but actually it just turned out everything that became a hurdle just became an opportunity. And yeah, it all worked out. You just have to be water, as Bruce Lee would say.
Well, we as a festival are so thrilled to be able to share all of your films, such a talented group of artists. So on behalf of the festival, allow me to thank you all so much for taking the time to join us for today's roundtable and conversation. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
In addition, we do have to thank our audience for joining us for today's Shorts Roundtable. We wouldn't be here without your ongoing support to bring film home. We hope you'll consider supporting our challenge match again this year, presented by Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, to support the future of our festival. Our goal is to reach $145,000 this year, and we are so grateful in advance for any amount you are able to contribute. To make a donation, or to purchase tickets, or to check out our full schedule of Filmmaker Conversations, please visit us at clevelandfilm.org. With that, please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here again very soon.